Hello, my name is Charles Wilkinson, and I will be presenting the power of pheromones and the broader implications they have on us. Some of the questions we are faced with are: what are pheromones? What life forms do they affect exactly? And what kind of implications does that have on our life on this planet? A pheromone is any chemical that an animal produces in order to change the behavior of another animal. That can be either in the same species or in a different species of the animal kingdom. These effects can range all the way from single cell organisms to multicellular organisms such as ourselves, and the pheromones capabilities vary in many ways between species. Bacteria use pheromone encoding in order to control most of their processes. That can decide whether a bacteria is going to be bioluminescent or not, whether it produces virulence factors, which are infectious qualities that they give upon their hosts. Their reproductive processes and speed at which they occur will also be affected by pheromones, and the rate at which they metabolize nutrients from their environment will also be affected by the pheromones. Plants use pheromones for a variety of reasons. Most of them use their pheromones for attraction to get insects and other animals to either pollinate or spread their seed around. Some plants use pheromones as a way of repulsion by secreting a very unpleasant bitter flavor into their outer cell wall to keep animals from eating them. And other plants, such as the Venus flytrap, will actually use pads covered in pheromones, and they will detect even the most minute change in those pheromone levels and slam shut as soon as it is disturbed. Insects such as bees and ants use pheromones for a variety of reasons. They will use them as a way to track their trail to and from the hive. They will also be used to decide which job each ant or bee gets to perform within the colony or hive. And a special power that occurs within this is the queen bee can decide who her progenitor is. She can actually tell the worker bees' bodies to no longer produce reproductive organs through the secretion of pheromones while they're being born. In Antigonia, or fish, the use of pheromones is to attract members of the opposite sex within the same species. It is also used as a way of tracking down their migratory path. That's almost like a GPS system based simply on pheromone levels. What happens is fish like salmon actually follow the pheromone scent trail of the previous parentage that is in the riverbeds of the same areas that they were spawned in the year before. It's a very interesting life cycle. In the kingdom Mammalia, it is mostly used to tell whether a female is capable of reproduction or not, because the pheromones change the way that she is perceived by the males of her species. Males use pheromones mostly for marking their territory. The squirrel actually has a funny way of doing this because whenever it picks a mate, it covers them in their pheromones to say, hey, this is my territory. And your cat even does it whenever it's rubbing its head against your leg. It is actually wiping pheromones onto your clothing and yourself. And animals use it for identification as well. That explains why dogs run around at dog parks smelling one another, because it's almost like a way of checking somebody's identification, because each pheromone has its own specific markers that can say something about an animal and its health. So one of the things we're left asking ourselves is, Why is it that we're at such a conflict with our own cognitive processes, with what our emotions are, and whether they're simply chemical processes? Are there hormonal connections between what we decide, or is what we decide actually just a chemical process masked by what we think it is? What do you think this tool called a striggle is used for? I'll give you a hint. It's actually not for violent use. It was used as a way of scraping sweat off of gladiators because back in the time of the Romans, it was believed that the sweat was an aphrodisiac, and men and women alike wanted it to be used as a product for lotions, perfumes, colognes. There were various ways that it was used, and they believed that it would work. It's strange that they knew that before we did. And on that note, I'll be leaving you with a funny video to end the segment, and I thank you for joining me.
Listen, Morty, I hate to break it to you, but what people call love is just a chemical reaction that compels animals to breed. It hits hard, Morty, then it slowly fades, leaving you stranded in a failing marriage. I did it, your parents are gonna do it. Break the cycle, Morty. Rise above. Focus on science.
Thank you very much.